Let's say we have two tables, countries and capital cities. Each table has a primary key column called ID. The capital cities table has a foreign key column of country ID that references the countries table's primary key. Now let's say we want to query those two tables for a result set that looks like this. Join can help us in this and similar situations where we want to join together data from multiple tables. The join keyword is generally used to query from multiple tables based on the values of the common columns between related tables. The common columns are typically the primary key columns of the first table and foreign key columns of the second table, but any columns can be used in fact. These types of queries emphasize the relationships between entities, whether that be one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-many. There are many types of joins, but we will only cover the most common: inner join, the default, left join, right join, and full join. If you use join by itself in a query without specifically saying inner, left, right, or full, then Postgres will use inner by default. The join starts by selecting data from left table. It compares values in left column from the left table with values in right column from the right table. If the values are equal, the join creates a new row that contains the columns in the select list and adds this new row to the result set. Notice that a single equal sign here is used to test for equality, not to assign a value, as you might expect from Python or JavaScript syntax. If the values are not equal, an inner join will not add a new row to the result set. This is a key distinction between inner join and other types of joins. The example you saw at the beginning of this video is an example of an inner join. There is a one-to-one relationship between countries and capital cities, because there is only one country to each capital city and one capital city to each capital. Assume that each table has a primary key column of ID. The country ID column in the capital cities table is a foreign key that references the primary key of the countries table. Our goal is to retrieve a result set that contains the columns capital city name and country name. This query joins the country ID foreign key in the capital cities table and the ID primary key in the countries table. Since there is a one-to-one relationship, the query finds a match for each row. Note that this query uses aliases for table and column names, both to make the query more readable and to make sure we don't have conflicting column names in the result set. Let's look at another example. We've got two tables here, one for customers and one for orders. You've seen these before, and you might remember that this is a one-to-many relationship, because each customer can have many orders, but each order can only have one customer. This time, what we want to do with these tables is get the customer's name and the amount spent for each order in a single result set. We do this by joining customers and orders, where the customer ID of the orders table matches the ID in the customers table. You might notice that the result set only contains 6 rows, even though we have 8 rows in our orders table. This is because there are 2 orders that have a null value in the customer ID column. Something happened to remove the customers from the database, like perhaps someone canceled an order. The join fails for these orders and skips over them, leaving us with just 6 orders with non-null values. Here's an example of an inner join involving a many-to-many relationship. First, we have a table with book titles and book IDs. We have another table with authors and author IDs. Remember, a book can have more than one author, and an author can have more than one book. When joining across many-to-many relations, we need to join twice across the intermediate table of foreign key pairs. In this case, we have an intermediate book authors table that shows how books are related to authors. On the first join, we join from the authors table to the book authors table. The last three authors in the authors table do not have author IDs in the book authors table, so they are excluded from the result set. Similarly, on the second join, we join from the books table to the book authors table. The book entitled Leap of Faith has an ID of 4, which does not have a corresponding entry in the book authors table, so this one is also excluded from our result set. This leaves us with 6 results, a list of all unique author and book pairs. Now that we've learned about how to use the default inner join, we'll continue on to learn about 3 other ways to use join: left, right, and full join.